Tavach. I hope everybody is doing well. We are up to the Mishnah on Samach Aleph, Amud Aleph in the middle of the page. And today is the 25th day of the month of Mar Cheshvan, and we are, I think, officially halfway through Maseches Pesachim. So, Mazel Tov to everybody that has been following along. And Pesachim, we are continuing with a Mishnah that we have seen quoted a number of times in the last few Dapim and Amudim, with reference to questions of Lishmai and Shalai Lishmai with regards to the current Pesach. This was the mission that we had quoted a number of times, challenging a number of those suggestions and assumptions. The mission says as follows: what happens if you shechted the current Pesach not for those that are eating, meaning with either the intention or a verbal statement that it is for people that are not eating it? And we'll have to discuss and describe who those people are. Or for people that are not registered for the that are not accounted for in the chabura of the people that are supposed to be eating from this Karban Pesach. La'arilim, for those that are uncircumcised, ulitmeim, and for people that are tameh. So in all of these cases, if a person were to do such a thing, pasul. The Karban Pesach is pasul. What happens if you did it? You shechted the Karban Pesach for the sake of those that can eat it, as well as for the people that cannot eat it. Lim nuyav v'shalol nuyav, for people that are included in the chabura and people that are not included in the chabura. Limulim v'la'arelim, people that are circumcised and people that are uncircumcised. Litmeim uladarim, if it was shechted for people that are tameh and for people that are tahar, kasher. In all of these cases, where you have in mind at least the people that are supposed to be doing it, meaning the people that are listed, the people that are supposed to be eating it, the people that have a bris milah, and the people that are tahar, as long as you had some of them in mind, that would be kosher. Says the Mishnah, the next din is if you shechted it before chatzos hayom, before the middle of the day of Erev Pesach, which is the correct time to shech the Karban Pesach, pasul. Then it is pasul and gatan. There is nothing to begin with because that has not, the mitzvah hasn't yet kicked in. As we saw from the previous dapim and amudim, at that point in time, the only way of making this kasher would be if you didn't have in mind that it's a Karban Pesach at all. You had in mind that it would be shalol lishmai, meaning that it was a Karban shlamim. That's when it would work. But if you shechted it for the sake of a Karban Pesach on Erev Pesach, so then it would be pasul if you did so before chatzos. Why? Says the Mishnah, mishum shenemar, because the pasuk tells us bein harabayim, that the Karban Pesach has to be shechted bein harabayim. This is part of the original mitzvah of Karban Pesach that was told to the Jewish people as they were leaving Egypt, that in all future generations you're going to shech this bein harabayim. What happens if you shechted it before the Karban Tamid? Now we know that the Karban Tamid is on Erev Pesach, is shechted no earlier than half an hour after chatzos, and that was the din of bein harabayim that we had learned beforehand. But what happens if you shechted before the Karban Tamid was shechted? Says the Mishnah, kosher. It still is kosher. So long as you have another kohen that's standing there that is still stirring the blood of this korban, because if you don't stir it, then it's going to congeal. And once it congeals, then the whole thing is going to be possible because you can no longer do shrikas hadam. It'll no longer be able to be thrown onto the mizbech because it's no longer a liquid. Until the blood of the tamid is sprinkled on the mizbech. What happens what happens if it was thrown on the mizbech before the dam of the tamid was thrown? So even in that case, it would be kosher, meaning kosher b'diavad. That's not it's not the right thing to do. But it would be kosher b'diavad. It would still work. Says the Gemara as follows: Tan Rabbanan, we have a brayso that asks the question, Ketzad shaloi la'ochlav. What exactly does it mean when you shechted the Karban Pesach shaloi la'ochlav for people that are not eating it? Who is this that is considered to be not eating it? Says the Gemara, says the brayso, l'shum chayle l'shum zaken. If you shechted it for the sake of a sick person, for the sake of a zaken, somebody that is elderly and is incapable of consuming the Karban Pesach, that's what it means. La'ochlav. Ochlav means people that are physically capable of eating it. The Tosfos here points out, the Tosfos la'ochlav minalan, we'll see that in a couple of seconds, that this is a separate category, as the Tmeim and Arelim that we are going to see in a little bit, and we're going to wonder where that din comes from. Bichlal. So, Ketzer Shalolim Nuyov. Where does how do we know that you are not allowed to shechted Shalolim Nuyov, or that would be a psul? Says the Brisa that the Gemara quotes, Nimno alav chaburusu. If a person Nimno alav chaburusu, that on this korban there was registered a particular group of people, and this korban was shechted for another chabura. I mean, you have chabura A that's made up of these 10 people, and chabura B that's made up of these 8 people, and you shechted korban pesach A for a group of people B. That's shalolim nuyov. That would be possible. Minani mili. How do you know this? How do you know this? Then the Tana Rabbanan, we have a brisa that teaches us, quoting from the pasuk in Sefer Shmos, b'michsas nefashos. That's an interesting word that the Gemara is going to now define. B'michsas nefashos. Michsas means with the accounting of the soul, of souls that are registered on this korban. Melamed she'ein hapesach nishchat ela limnuyav. That comes to tell me that the korban pesach cannot be shechted and be kosher ela limnuyav, except for the people that are registered on it. Maybe you would think that if you shechted it for people that are not registered, maybe you would think that you've simply violated the mitzvah of b'michsas nefashos, meaning that you've been over on a mitzvah's essay. But the korban is still going to be kosher. You have this from time to time. You violated a mitzvah. I mean, you were over on a mitzvah. It's not, but it's not an aveira in the sense that you have been mevatel the mitzvah's essay of michsas nefashos, but the korban itself is still going to be kosher. Talmud Lomar says the pasuk b'michsas tachosu al haseh, b'michsas nefashos, with the accounting of the soul, tachosu al haseh, you will be tachosu al haseh, you will be counted on this seh. Says the brisa, hakasav shana alav la'akiv. The pasuk doubled up the lashon of b'michsas and tachosu in order to tell you that this is something that's ma'akiv, meaning it's a doubling up of this lashon of b'michsas and tachosu, which tells you that this is not simply a mitzvah, but that this is also a din which is ma'akiv. If you didn't do this correctly, it's ma'akiv. You have invalidated your korban pesach. Rabbi explains further. Lashon sursi hu, that this word tachosu and b'michsas is an interesting word. What is the word? What's the etymology of the word tachosu or michsas? So says Rashi here, explain lashon sursi hu is Arami. It is an Aramaic word. It's some kind of Aramean word, and Chachmei Umus karim lo linga shuria. Then Rashi gives you a Latin or Germanic equivalent for it, which the Gemara is going to explain. What does the word tachosu mean? Ka'adam shem lechavero, like a person says to his friend, kosli tlezeh. Kosli, says Rashi, means shachut, shecht for me. Tachosu alaseh has the etymology in Hebrew of being b'michsas, to be an accounting for, a number of people that are accounted for, and in Aramaic or Aramean, it means to shecht. Says Rabbi shachut lemeimar debishas shchita tzarich liskaven lim nuyav. The reason that the Torah uses this word is to tell you that there is an additional etymology here, that there's an additional kavanah to have, which is, it means shechted with the intention of including the people that are included here. And the Tosfos here points out, interestingly, that Rabbi Omer Lashon Sursi, who's there, Omer Ri, says the Rabbi Loi Polig Tanakama. He's not disagreeing with the Tanakama that b'michsas is doubled up to teach you the din that it's limnuyav is to be ma'akev. He's agreeing to all of the dinim here. He's just explaining here. that the difference between the kavanah of Ochlav and Menuyav is with regards to shechting, and we'll see that a little bit later in the Masechta. But Lemaisa, what he's explaining here is that the word tachazu is in two languages, and therefore, since you know that this means both numbers and shechting, it means that the shechting has to have in mind the numbers that are there, and that is ma'akev. It's not simply a din lechatchila. Says the Gemara, Ashkechan shaloi limnu. Okay, so now we know where the din is that the Mishnah quoted, that you are not allowed to shecht shaloi limnu. Shaloi la'ochlav minal. How do you know this din? How do you know the din of shaloi la'ochlav? Meaning, we started off with Kate said shaloi la'ochlav. Says the Gemara. How do you know this din? Kate said shaloi la'ochlav. What is an example of this din of shaloi la'ochlav? We said it either achel or a zakin. But how do you know that this din is correct? Meaning, what's the makar in the Torah for this? How do you know such a din? The pasuk says, "Ish lefi achlai tachos alasa." Each person according to his eating, tachos alasa, you will count him for this Korban Pesach. Says the Gemara, "Itkish ochlin limnuyim." The Torah is coming to tell you that there is a connection between those that are registered to eat it and those that are able to eat it, that the same din would apply there as well. And here the Tosfos points out, and the Ri is going to point out that we could learn all of the dinim here from this, because people that can eat it means people that can physically eat it, as well as people that are allowed to eat it. That all of that is learned from ish lefi achlai tachos alasa, that one is not allowed to. That if one has such an intention, it would puzzle your entire korban. But as Hashem Yisbarach, we will continue with these dinim, explaining this on Samech Aleph Amud Beis, and wishing everybody a beautiful week. And we will see everybody tomorrow morning. Have a wonderful evening.